want to touch on something else you had said about with Iraq refugees. You had a database apparently of fingerprints from IEDs, evidence that had been obtained from Iraq. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Now, with regard to the masses of Syrian refugees, I'm not aware of a lot of IEDs that we've gotten, evidence we've gotten from which you could get fingerprints. Is there such a database?
I think that's right. There may be some and a variety of other intelligence sources that may help us try and understand who people are. But the point I was trying to make is we had a whole lot more information about Iraq because our soldiers had been there, run into people, and collected information.
Well, and that goes to a concern of mine. I'm not the biggest fan of the UN, but they have data pulled from their website this morning that says, starting off, that more than 43 million people worldwide are now forcibly displaced as a result of a conflict and persecution. And it goes on to say that children constitute about 41% of the world's refugees, and about half of all refugees are women. So it was very disturbing to pull this from the UN website in September that says of the 381,412 arrivals that came across the Mediterranean Sea just this year up to September, that 15% were children, 13% were women, and 72% were men. And then when you take that along with our DNI, James Clapper, saying that this provides a prime opportunity for Islamic State groups to attack Western targets, he said, quote, "It's a disaster of biblical proportions." And then you take statements that have been made by ISIS leaders themselves that they have been able to place more than 4,000 warriors in with the refugees, this inordinate number of men. Has that spiked concern in the FBI, along with what you've testified before about ISIS having people in every state?
Yes, sir. It's a risk that we are focused on and trying to do everything we can to mitigate.
But without a good fingerprint database, without good identification, I mean, how can you be sure that anyone is who they say they are? You don't have fingerprints to go against. If they've got documents that say they're one, I've been out on the border when I've watched people exchange identification information and decide to use the other ones. Is there a good way to avoid that the FBI is able to use?
The only thing we can query is information that we have. And so if we have no information on someone, they've never crossed our radar screen, never been a ripple in the pond, there will be no record of them there, and so it will be challenging.